with Wenberg, we heard maintenance, but as far as status for Game 3, are you pretty confident, or how do you? What can you
I'll probably just leave it at maintenance for today.
So no real firm feeling.
Other than maintenance today. So maintenance today.
Had to try.
Get it. Is Filipino going to travel with you to DC?
Yes.
Are you someone who watches the other playoff games live, or do you?
I do watch some of them. I'll be honest, I don't make those late ones. I don't know if you guys do, but I don't make those late ones. Some, like I started the Vegas Dallas one last night, and but I've watched the Eastern, the ones that are happening earlier in the day. When I'm there, they flip around and watch. Yeah.
I know you were asked about Hedel the other day, but where is he in the process of, being game ready if you wanted to use him?
I think that's he's working on it right now, where you guys watch him out there, you see him. He's not under restriction. He's not being held back from anything, and so we're working on that, working towards that.
What's your assessment of how Kakko has gone from the regular season into this, how he's maybe stepped up a little bit, or do you think his game is conducive to this kind of play anyway?
I do. I thought that in the first game, he and his line, they were a little bit more noticeable with regard to the game and getting into the offensive zone and using their size. He's got two big wingers out there that can possess the puck and provide some physicality and keep it in the offensive zone. All pretty responsible defensively. I do think it is conducive for him to be able to implement that game that you're talking about into the playoffs. And then to your question about watching games, watching our series, watching games, you need that. You need to be able to use your size and your physicality. And at times when he has the puck on his stick, it's difficult to get it off of him and then look to create from there. And I think his line has done that. More noticeable for me in Game 1 than in Game 2. But, like I said, it's a long series. You hope it's a long playoff run, and through that, you hope that there's some consistency.
How do you think he came back from the injury, and does this present an opportunity for him sort of to rewrite the season?
Yeah, I think for sure it does. So it was a tough injury. Took a minute to get back. When he came back, I think that, and I've said this, with Foxy and with others that have come back, Jacob, they've come back from these injuries. I think, from the time of the injury and you're back playing, it takes a little bit to get up to speed to play the game that you're comfortable. You're feeling good on the ice again. Your timing's good. All your problems from whatever had you out for an extended period of time, they're not an issue anymore. You're not feeling it. You get your confidence back. You start to put together some good games. Then you put together a stretch. I think he was playing I think Kaapo was playing his best hockey down the stretch in the last 20 games of the season. And to answer your question, you'd like to see that translate through. And so in my observation of the line more so than him, they were more noticeable in Game 1 than Game 2. But I do think it translates, and I do think it's an opportunity for him to continue where he was at the end of the regular season and build that right into a playoffs. And yeah, a long run and a stint like he did have in the last 20 games through the playoffs, that does change the look of the season and the way it unfolded.
He's kind of the one guy, well, Wheeler too, but he's kind of the one guy who you move around, more than occasionally. Did you need to explain that to him, or is it just part of being a pro and this is what you need to do?
Sometimes I explain the reasoning or the situations, or if somebody has a big drop in minutes, or if somebody comes out of the lineup. But there's often times when I'll come in and I'll move the lines around and not have one-on-ones as to exactly why I did something. Might not be working. A line could go 10 games without scoring a goal. They're -6. I might change it. I don't necessarily, although if that were actually the case, I probably would have had some meetings with those players along the way. But I'm just saying it doesn't have to, every move that I make doesn't have to be explained. dropping minutes from any, even, you know, when we move the deep pairs, there's lots of questions. We haven't dropped anybody's minutes. We've got a nice balance on defense right now in the way that our group is playing, and we like that. So sometimes there's explanations, sometimes there's not.
Speaking of that defense, this might be partner-based who he plays with, but Braden Schneider, do you believe that he looks more comfortable, more confident in jumping in to the play a little bit offensively when need be, playing with Keandre as opposed to playing with Gusto? And again, it could be defense, who he plays with as well.
I haven't noticed that. Like, I think about some of the goals that he scored. I think he ripped one in Edmonton earlier in the year where he jumped in the hole. I haven't noticed this big difference in a shift of game. You know, if you think most of it has been either with Gus or Key, right? Those are his two partners. They're not far off. I mean, they're both have 33 points or so. They're both plus players. They defend pretty good. They both use their skating. Kind of different, but similar in a way. Certainly from an offensive standpoint, similar in a way. So I haven't noticed anything, but.
What have you thought of his overall game then? Just
good. I think the game. I thought the game is good. I've liked him. You know, I liked him with Gus. I like him also with Key. I think him and Key have been a good pair, and so that's why we made that move. And I think they've done a good job. It gives us a balance on the 6 defensemen that we're happy with. But I think his game has been good.
What have you seen from Will Cooley in his first taste of playoff hockey?
And he's been good. I mean, again, I noticed the line in general. Not knocking anybody on the line. I just noticed it a little bit more in the first game than I did the second game. But you hope that it's a long playoff run and that through the course of that, and I like their line at the end of the season. It kind of goes to exactly what I said. I like their line down the stretch. They were really good. And so that line stayed together. They went into game 1. I thought they played a good game. In game 2, I think that we were not as sharp as we were in game 1 and looked to get better. But that could be said for that line, and I think Will's done a good job.
You see him jawing with Tom Wilson, a player who he had actually said on his draft night that he had modeled his game after. Just what does that tell you about Cooley and what he can do in the playoffs?
Will's been a good player. I mean, it's a first year. I think there was there's always ups and downs, especially for a first year player. And when you get the game 60 and 70, it can show a little bit. But I think once the playoffs start to show themselves for everybody, everybody gets excited about that and they get ready for the playoffs. He's been a good player for us. He's had a good first year. He's provided physicality for us. He's chipped in with some offense. I'd like to see him just continue where he was right at the end of the year. The last 10 games, him in that line, moving that right into the playoffs like they did in game 1, and we're going into game 3 now. So look for that.
What's your thoughts on the PK and the number of penalties you've had to defend?
Yeah, I mean, it's more than I'd like to defend. I think some of them we shot ourselves in the foot. I mean, some of them we take responsibility for, and I don't have to agree with every call, but there's some that are calls for sure, and then there's some that we're inflicting pain on ourselves, and those are things that we can control. I think the penalty kill's done a good job.
To ask about Cooley again, I know you threw him out there with the Goudreau line, at least in one shift. What about Will's game allows you to kind of move him around? Instead, you're comfortable with the line with Wenberg and Kakko, but you could throw him out there with another line.
Yeah, I mean, again, inside of a game, there's different things that are happening that I'm aware of that I might be coaching against. It doesn't have to do anything with anything, or I'm not looking necessarily to change a line. It might be something in the moment that I'm looking for. It could be a period. It could be the time in the period. It could be a zone. It could be the opponent. And I have said all year long that Will, for me, has proven to be a guy that we just don't talk about much defensively, and sometimes that's a good thing. And so I think he's done a pretty good job defensively, and so there might be something in the moment where I might be looking for something different on a line.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.